Hello, everybody.
What's up, Facebook?
What's happening?
Family, what's happening?
Oh my gosh. Yay. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go, here we go.
Really?
We're on 30 minutes early than what Lake More Capacity is normally on. She's normally on at 10:30. But tonight we're on at 10.
Yeah. So we can actually have some time to converse and to enjoy the conversation. Hello, Instagram.
Hello, Instagram.
Do you know which camera you're looking at?
I'm looking at
Come
the
on.
camera.
You got to get used to the cameras. Good.
Hello, Instagram.
What up? What up? What up? What up? How you doing?
What up? Hello, fam.
What up?
What up?
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Shoot, that's what I'm talking about. You have your books in hand? Y'all ready?
The teacher is ready.
I'm not the teacher.
The
I'm the
teacher
student.
is ready.
Y'all, this is some good stuff. So here we go.
Here we go.
I am Lake Moore.
And I am Shamar Moore.
And we represent
More capacity where the stretch is necessary.
Perfection is not the measure.
But maturity is
mandatory.
mandatory.
And so we here completely tonight so that we can mature together in our marriage. Y'all, I don't know about you, but hello over the Instagram as well. But it has been a wonderful process, and something that we learned even through the pandemic is how important communication is. And so we decided that we were going to go and revisit a book that has helped us in our relationship. Anybody in here have the book? Let us know. Have you read the book?
Have you read the book?
Let me do like this on Instagram because that camera, stop playing. That camera is real. So this is the book. If you have it, great. If you don't, then let's do it together. It's backwards over here, but it's the right way. It is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It's an amazing book. It has definitely helped us. And you don't have it? Nope. No problem. Okay, you have it. Cool. What about y'all Instagram? Do y'all have it? All right. Well, let's jump in. Awesome. What we will do is after we finish this tonight, we will drop the links. There are tests. We won't necessarily need them tonight, but once you get it, go ahead and take the test and bring it next week. And then we'll start sharing it. All right. So chapter two, keeping the love tank full. Keeping the love tank full. Can y'all see that? Keeping the love tank full.
Keeping the love tank full.
You want to start?
You can start.
So keeping the love tank full. Chapter 2 was really cool because it talked about pretty much how there is like this invisible tank in all of us. And it starts as a child that we don't realize that there are things that we need. And things that should come from our parents. And so there are things that grow with us. And when we don't have our tanks full, then people act out. Even adults, we act out. And it's all because there is something that's missing. And I think that it's a great time now to talk about that, because in the midst of COVID and being inside, that the way that we express and the way that we get our love tanks full is so different. We're looking at our kids. I don't know why them jokers, they supposed to go to bed, but as soon as they hear us talking, they run down the steps every time. They want to be on TV. but it talks about that. And one thing I found interesting too in the book is it said that isolation is we're not intended to be isolated or alone. That is something to be aware of, and that when we withdraw, that is also a sign that our love tanks are empty because something is causing us like to shut down. But yeah, go ahead. Love tank full. You want your notes?
Love tank full. I got my notes. So it also mentioned that the word love, I guess, is used sometimes just loosely because, we don't just say that we love our spouse or our children, but we also going to say that we love hobbies, sports, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So sometimes it could be used loosely, I guess, and sometimes it can be confusing when you just use the word love or the term love. And then so the basic definition of love is an intense feeling of deep affection. And that's something that we all look for, especially in a relationship, in a marriage. and friendship is, feeling wanted or needed, especially in marriage, the affection part. Again, feeling wanted and needed. If your tank is empty, you definitely want to know that you are loved, that you are supported, and that you are wanted and needed.
There was a portion in here, and I'll read a statement. It says, at the heart of mankind's existence is a desire to be intimate and to be loved by another. And marriage is designed to meet that need for intimacy and for love. So we know that there are people here that are not married. And you may be going through, of course, your preparation process, which is even better, because there is something about getting into something and not knowing what to expect. And then your expectations are up here. And then, however, the reality of how they're met may fall below. And that creates like a bitterness. Sometimes it doesn't come out in the beginning of the relationship, but it grows because you had this high euphoric expectation. And that's something else that it talks about. It says that in the beginning, falling in love is a myth. Can y'all believe that? Like, it is actually a myth. It is not real. It is like this intense force that comes, but because it comes effortless and you said facts. Because there is no effort, like you're not being intentional. It doesn't take any discipline. It doesn't take you to do anything to fall in love. And that's why it's so easy for people to say, I fell in love, and then they
fall out of love.
Just like that.
Just like that, because they quote unquote say sometime it was love at first sight. And while we're on the term or the word love, I've noticed and mentioned it in the Bible. I mean, not in the Bible, but it mentioned it in the book.
In the Bible too, it talks about
it
love.
Talks about love in the Bible. It talks about love in the Bible. But in the book, it states that how when you're in love, that you would pretty much do anything to pretty much make your spouse happy. Just like Stevie Wonder's, song wrote, for your love, I will do anything just to see the smile on your face. Love, we'll climb mountains, we'll cross seas. We will, pretty much endure the untold hardships because of love. But the flip side of that, when we don't feel love, we're not trying to climb mountains. We're not trying to bear things because we don't feel needed or wanted. And again, a lot of these things that we're going to mention tonight and even going forward as we read the book, it is so important about having that tank filled, because that feeling needed and wanted is something real big, because materialistic things cannot replace the void of wanting and needed to be loved by someone.
You make a great point. The book also talks about how when you come together, and a man, when he feels love, or even a woman, that there is a certain unity that comes, and you're able to fulfill your dreams, because there is a certain force that happens because of love. You have a temperance, you have a patience. I think is it 1 Corinthians? It talks about love is patient, love is kind, and endures all, and all those types of things. And that's true. Can't right now just quote off the whole scripture. If you got it, put it up there for us and we'll read it. But having that true affection and appreciation, that literally the intentional part is what creates that force, because again, it's intentional. It takes effort. It takes discipline. It takes awareness to be able to move forward. What's absolutely correct? Tell us what you're agreeing with. Something else that really struck me in chapter 2 was it talked about children. Oh my gosh. There's a passage, and if you have the book, you can testify, or you always go to church. I believe I'll testify. It says that he was a psychologist, and the parents were always bringing the kids in to talk about what their failures were. Okay, well, I need to take my child in because they're messed up. And the reality is that they weren't messed up. They were screaming out. They were crying.
Right, screaming out for attention, for love, for affection. And it even goes on to say that there was a child who pretty much, was looking for love in all the wrong places, because she didn't feel that love from home. Once her parents were divorced, her mom remarried later, and she didn't feel like she was loved. And then she went to school, found out that this guy liked her. The guy was older than her. The guy treated her kind and things of that nature. And, it talks about how she went on to be active. She didn't want to be active, but because she felt love, it pretty much influenced her to be active, if you know what I mean, sexually active with the guy.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. Hopefully, there ain't too many babies up, except ours. Trying to have these conversations. At the end of chapter 2, it clearly states, it says, people behave differently when their emotional love tanks are full. When their emotional love tanks are full. In that passage about the young girl, it also says that that when her parents, and this is the hope, hallelujah, this is where the solution is, because once we identify something, we also realize that there is a solution. There is always a solution. That they turned. We're at home right now. Our kids are going through a lot. We're dealing with a lot. If you are single or if you're married, whatever it is, it can be stressful through, on a daily basis because of the hats that we're wearing. And truth be told, when you're mentally drained, sometimes everything else can shut down. But it said that when they were aware of what they were giving her, that's the key, that what they were actually giving her was not meeting her needs. And then they were able to shift, and it changed the relationship, because sometimes we give people what we want them to have,
and it's still not meeting their needs. We're not speaking their language. And so when they receive it, it's almost like, what is this? Because we're not speaking their language.
I'm sorry, y'all. What is this?
What is this?
What is this?
And you're like, I just gave you something, or I'm giving you my all. I'm giving you all of me. But sometimes just because in your mind that you're giving a person all of you, don't necessarily mean that they're feeling the all of you that you're giving, because you're not speaking their love language.
Yep. So true. What is this? Yes. So when we decide to go into any relationship without understanding what our needs are, it can be dangerous, because any relationship, this book talks about 5 love languages, and it specifically addresses marriages, but there's also some tenets that go and they apply to friendships. It applies to singlehood. It applies to work relationships. So this is not just for marriage. It really can help every relationship that we encounter. So we encourage you to get the book. Again, we read it. It's working. We went back to revisit it in such a time as this. This is the book if you're coming in. And please, if you're in here, share. And so this is something that stuck out to us as well. It says that that we can be attempting to do the right thing, but we have faulty information. We sometimes get married, or we go into friendships or relationships thinking love is all that we need. But the reality is that what happens when life happens and love begins to wane, right? It's like we have faulty information. And so this is what this is about. We are supposed to go forward, and we're supposed to have great unions. And now we give tools. We talk about tools to be intentional in building those relationships, because we already know that we can't change anybody else. But if we start here, if we start right here, accountability starts with us. If we start here and we become a better version of me, then it changes the dynamics of the teamwork and relationship. So chapter 3 says that when you fall in love, that it wears off in 2 years.
2 years. That's like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
2 years. Because as they say, when you're having fun, time go by quick. So what happened when that fun come to a halt and life issues hit? Then what? Because the book always, talks about also that when you're really not in love per se, but you're saying that, you get this little tingling feeling, oh, this is the one, he's the one, she's the one. And we're going through these phases of this high, that when we come off that high, especially when the issues of life hit, then all of a sudden it changed. You can't be in each other's space. You can't be around each other. You no longer eat excuse me, not eating, but you're no longer meeting each other needs. And it's because of, again, it points back to that tank being empty.
Um, think about this. Think about when you initially fall in love, how you stop doing everything. Crazy, like for real, craziness. When you say you fall in love, we used to talk on the phone for
Hours.
and I know y'all have experienced that before, right? Like to the wee hours of the morning. We'd wake up, I'd be at work, look, doing what I need to do, still on the phone, calling him between breaks. Why you
Yeah, I was
smiling
doing
like
the
that?
same thing.
I was waiting. No, I like it was just me. But but crazy stuff. It literally, it says that euphoric part in the beginning that it makes you lose your mind. You ever, your kids fall in love, you're like, what is wrong with it? Not realizing you were doing the same stuff. But you're like, my kids had lost their absolute mind. People couldn't work. Companies would dissolve if people always kept that euphoric in love perspective. It's not real. And I don't mean, now here again, it's the part that's effortless. If you stayed there forever, I mean, my gosh, there would be no work. That euphoria. I mean, there would be nothing. There would be no actions. We'd all be stuck in La La Land. He actually called it pretty much like the door at heaven. You're in the outer court. That's how it feels, and it does. It feels great. But now we're going to learn what to do to sustain the relationship. This relationship. So they're on page 34. And again, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. We're going to put the questions at the bottom, or the links for you to take the test, and then come back next week so we can talk. And then you can tell me what you guys learned too. So for Rhonda, you said you got the book. Anything you want to share? Anything you want to share? Please share for the people in the back. Come on with it. But there were two things in here too that it says that, one, are we destined to live a life of misery? When you fall out of love, this is what happens, because you get to the point to where you're like, okay, I don't feel the way that I used to, and I don't understand why. Like, how come after all of this greatness and now we become in a relationship, but I don't feel that tingle no more, that spark? It doesn't mean okay. It doesn't mean that that it's not the right relationship. It's just now you got to learn how to communicate. You got to learn how to dig deep. You got to learn with intentional purpose. I want somebody to choose me, right? In love is effortless. I mean, shoot, I believe, he was like, yeah, I'm in love with her. And I was too. But now he chooses me. I want him to choose me. So these are the last two questions. It says that right now, 40% of marriages end in divorce. But then second and third marriages end 60%. So it ain't getting married that changes. Yes, that changes the outcome at all. So these are the questions. So page 34, it says, are we destined to live a life of misery with our spouses, or do we jump ship and try again? And the truth is that in our generation right now, option 2 is what a lot of folk are choosing. Our great grandparents, and some mother and father, depending upon where you fall, they chose number 1. They kind of stuck it out. And we were like, yo, I ain't doing that. But we believe that at this point, marriage and family is important. Union and communication and empowering yourself to know who you are is what's critical, because love covers a multitude of sin. It heals, it strengthens, it binds, it does, because for God so loved the world that he gave. So these are the tools that we're going to use. Please, if you don't have the book, again, we're going to put the links for the test. Take the test, and then next week, bring your favorite person, invite a couple, invite your boo, whomever that may be able to learn their language, love language. Because when we learn to speak about what we want, we can expect to receive what we've asked for. Let's see. I think sometimes people fall in love with someone's potential and then stunt. So Instagram, it says, I think sometimes people fall in love with someone's potential and then the stunt double shows up. Girl, let me tell you something. Rolling and flipping and scarring up. Yes. Yeah.
That's true though, because sometimes people can fall in love with an idea.
Oh yeah.
And it not be, as time go on, it doesn't unfold to be all of what you may have visualized it to be. So that is true as far as falling in love, with the potential or an idea, and then as time go on, it's like, what in the world?
I'm sorry, that caught me off guard too, girl. But yeah, it's true. And I, and very transparently speaking, that I think that even happens throughout the relationship. And the reason I say that is because even so, we've been married for 15 years. We've been together 20.
20.
Wow, we were babies.
I was a young whippersnapper.
But we have changed so much.
And grown so much. We had growing pains. Let the truth be told.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't all peaches and cream every day, all day, every month. We had growing pains. We had a lot of growing to do. And we probably didn't really start getting our groove until maybe 8 or 9.
Oh, yeah.
Is when we really started getting the groove. I mean, because people who've been in it for a long time, who've grown and are still growing, let you know that the first 5 to 10 years is the foundational stage. You still learning each other. You're still, learning each other's habits, each other's character, things of that nature. Even though you've been dating for a while, for those who dated for a little bit before they got married, when you actually live in the same house, you might have had a way that you was living, they had a way that they was in, but when you come together, you got all that. Then the way how you handle business and everything, all that stuff is learning, is learning each other's style and strengths and weaknesses. So it's growing pains, but it's all worth it. Anything that is worth having does not come easy.
Oh, and it doesn't come without effort. This thing, learning how to love yourself, learning what your language is, learning how to communicate that, it takes discipline. It takes courage. It takes sacrifice. It really does.
It does. And also, we got to go because we promised we wouldn't hold y'all long. But even having the hard conversation is one thing to be tactfully honest. It's another thing to be brutally honest. The thing is having a conversation, but learn how to be tactfully honest to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, or this is how I've been feeling, and not saying, well, I'm just keeping it real. No. I understand that you're being honest.
Did I do that?
But there's a way to be honest. You don't do it anymore, but you used to. You say, no, I'm telling you, because it feel like you have one up on the person. There's a way to talk to each other, because sometimes if you go at each other the wrong way or your presentation is off, you could turn your spouse off, and it's like, I want to talk to you or deal with this issue, but the way you just came at me, I'm gonna holler at you later.
Was not talking love language, which is actually perfect. So I will reveal that his number one love language is
affirmation.
Words of affirmation. So that's the exact reason why if I came out of my mouth sideways, he was just like, oh no. And I'm like, what? But now I understand that that's not something I can do. And not because right, wrong, it's understanding who he is and what he needs. And I can't give him, now mind you, that is number 5 for me. So his number 1 is my number 5. Right? And so it's like, let me back up. That's not my top language. So his was number 1, most important, and mine was like, And so having to balance that to say, It has to be when I speak to him, I got to speak to him and his language. But yeah, say that again. Oh, okay. All right. For the people in the back getting this book. Okay, you did? Did you take it after we talk or you already had your stuff? Don't matter, girl. We'll put the link in here afterwards. You guys be intentional. We are in this house and we are together. We don't know what the next 5-6 months are going to bring. Keep people in prayer. Honestly, I'm going to say it, domestic violence, those different things, it's going up because people are in their homes and people are under stress. And so this is what we decided we wanted to do to extend the conversation and to show up with a positive way into the world. Share it with somebody else that you know. Yes, you were curious. Okay. All right, you guys. I am so excited you're here. I look forward to taking this journey with you. Get the book. And next week is going to be fun because we're going to start talking about the 5 languages. Find out what yours is and then start having the conversation with your favorite person, whomever that may be. I am Lake Moore.
I am Shamar Moore.
And we are representing more capacity where the stretch is necessary. Perfection is not the measure, but
maturity is mandatory.
Let's grow together. Have a great night and a great week.
Have a good night.
Woo! Bye, y'all. God bless.